eBay Motors is here for that ride or die. Look, everybody's got that one car that means so much to them. My first new car it had a tan drop top. I thought I was the coolest guy in the world when I would drive that car. It was amazing. But then when the car started to give me trouble, I didn't know where to go. Thank goodness my dad was probably like the best handyman. But if I didn't have my dad, I'd be in trouble. I would ride around my junior college and everybody loved to drop the top with DC. And guys, if I had eBay Motors at the time, they would have took care of that car because they got over 122 million parts that you can make sure that your number one ride or die always stays running. From brake kits to LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has got it. And guys, with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or they're giving you your money back. I mean, come on. Plus, at these prices, guys, you're burning rubber, not your money. So keep that ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. All right, guys. So last week, we had a couple good videos. Ben and I got to chop it up. And then I took a little break. Well, I got some rest. But, I'm back. The boy's back because guess what? Jorge Masvidal's back. So I figured I'd chat a little bit about that. So this morning, Luis, because Luis is messy. Luis or at least he believes, that Jorge Masvidal and I aren't the biggest of fans with each other because of some of the videos that Luis and I have done over the course of the last couple of years. Well, much to his disdain, it's not as bad as he thinks, but I do have some thoughts on the Jorge Masvidal situation. So we got to go back to go forward. So last year in Miami, we watched Jorge Masvidal fight against Gilbert Burns. He loses by decision. He has what is, honestly, guys, one of the greatest retirements you could ever ask for in this sport. You're in a full arena. You're in your hometown. You just lost to a guy that is still competing at the top of the division. Walk away. You're walking into Gamebred boxing, fighting, bare knuckle, MMA. It's called something like that. But you're walking into your own organization where you get to be the boss. You just had a fairy tale retirement, and you go off and you start doing, honestly, good work for a guy starting a promotion. Masvidal's promotion, they gave guys like Junior Dos Santos opportunity to make some more money. Kid that just fought in the Contender Series where he gave him cash after securing a huge knockout, and then the kid goes and gets another knockout on the Contender Series. So he's doing good work outside of the octagon. Then he fights Nate Diaz in boxing. We know since that fight happened that the money behind that event has come into question because Nate Diaz is now saying they did not pay him an excessive amount of money, like $8-9 million or something, that he was owed that he did not get. Nate's kind of going quiet in that, so maybe that's been handled. I don't know. But then Masvidal, who thought he won the fight, develops a sour taste in the mouth on boxing. Guys, should be no surprise. Boxing has always been one of those sports that can be viewed as corrupt. Do I believe he won the fight against Nate? I'm not sure. I think Nate actually won with activity and being prepared to fight. Nate looked pretty good that night, and I thought he won the fight. But then Masvidal starts to talk about fighting mixed martial arts again. Look, I'm going to tell you this one thing. Jorge Masvidal should be commended for doing what he did to reach the levels of stardom that he did. Because when you look at his career as a whole, you really do see a guy that spent the vast majority of his prime, the vast majority of his youth as a middling fighter. He just was. It is what it is. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It's what it was. He was a guy that once fought for the Strikeforce Championship and got beat up by Gilbert Melendez. And then he went back to having fun fights the Strikeforce, but nobody ever raised any ruckus about who Jorge Masvidal was. He gets to the UFC. and he finds a way. Guys, remember, when he started his UFC career, nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. But then he has that great year where he beats Darren Till. Then he beats Ben Askren. Then he beats Nate Diaz to become the BMF champion. 2019, Madison Square Garden. Rock puts the belt on it. His star never shines so bright. He fights Kamaru Usman, gets beat with the infamous foot stumps. Fights Kamaru Usman again, gets beat even worse and gets knocked out. Then he fights Colby Covington, gets beat. He fights Gilbert Burns and gets beat. But look at the names on his resume. But at the end of the day, when you look at the career as a whole, it boils down to 1 year where Jorge Masvidal made you guys care. And it made him a star. But my question to you now is, do you still care? Because that's what he's banking on, right? Today I saw him interviewing with John Morgan. Today I saw an interview with Damon Martin. And it's Jorge Masvidal speaking about coming back to fighting. He's 39 years old. He has lost his last lost his last four MMA fights. He lost a boxing match. He said he will come back, start somebody, and the UFC will be begging him to fight for a championship. My question to you is, do you care now? Do you care like you did in 2019? Do you care like you did when he was on that amazing run where he made himself from a guy that was middling, from a guy that was a bit of a journeyman to a main event attraction? Him and Kamaru Usman sold a boatload of pay-per-views. But do you care today, in 2024, to see Jorge Masvidal come back and fight someone? He said Michael Chandler continues to wait for Conor McGregor. He goes, I can start Chandler in December. And then he can go back to waiting for Conor because we know Conor's not going to fight me. He doesn't believe that Conor McGregor is ever going to fight again. Hey, that sentiment, guys, is being shared by so many. And honestly, I don't know that I don't agree with them at this point. It was getting scary in terms of Conor. But still, it boils back to the same question. Do you care now? Do you care today to see Jorge Masvidal come back? And how in the world did that 1 year, because again, it boils down to 1 year. Are you guys telling me in the comments? Tell me in the comments if it was more. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Am I oversimplifying this, that it was more than 2019? Because in 2019, he did something that I've never seen someone do in fighting before. Take himself from a guy that had a very questionable fight against Ally Quinta. Luis, throw that in the chat. I don't know if he won or lost, but I just remember Al's post-fight interview, cussing everybody, being mad. This was a guy that went tooth and nail with Ally Quinta. This is a guy that started at the beginning of his UFC career not very good, and nobody cared. But he ultimately made himself into a main event guy. Do we care to see him today, or do we care to see him today against someone that's a big name? Is that the only way that you would care? Because to me, if Jorge Masvidal comes back, it has to be against someone that's a fun fight. Because right now, the guy that he got beaten in the last fight, he's not fighting as competitively as he was. And I love Gilbert Burns. Gilbert's fighting this weekend, actually, against Sean Brady. But remember, Gilbert, since beating Masvidal, lost to Jack Della Maddalena. He's fighting against Sean Brady. We don't know how that's going to go. But that guy that pretty much sent him into retirement has lost his last couple times. So do you care? Is star power enough? Because I can tell you this right now. If Nate Diaz was to say, I'm coming back, people would get excited. Is Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal held in the same regard? I just don't know where it's coming from. I guess that's my wonder. Where is it coming from? Why does George want to fight now? Is that burning desire still there? Because if it's one interview, it can be two guys just chatting. But when you're making the rounds, now it feels real. How much value does he bring to a fight card? And is it that simple? It was 12 months. 12 months of being elite. 12 months of having an opportunity to beat a Darren Till, he was pretty good. To knock Ben Askren out in short time. Then to go and beat Nate Diaz in Madison Square Garden made him that star that he is today. I'm not taking that away from him. But is it enough to make us still care? Fast forward 6 years almost. I'd watch him fight. Absolutely. I'd watch him fight. He was also with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo very recently doing their podcast. But I'd watch him fight. But my question is to you, like I said, do you care? I want to know. In the comments, tell me, do you care? He's 39 years old now, right? Best days would seem to be behind him. He's lost 4 in a row. Can he recreate what he did before? And if he can, do you even care to jump on the ride to find out? You guys let me know in those comments. In my regard, I believe with the work that he was doing outside of the octagon, this promotion seems to be doing well. I'm happy with seeing that man walk away. But you guys let me know what you think Jorge Masvidal will do. Because I think right now, it would take the right dance. I mean, Luis is in the chat writing, I would watch a rematch between him and Colby Covington. Luis, did you not watch the fight? Luis, put your voice in this right now. Can you hear me, Luis? Did you not watch the Covington versus Masvidal fight?
I did. And
you want to see that again?
Yeah, just because they got bad blood, bro. You want to see Colby take him
down over and over again?
They got bad blood, bro. They're buying that fight.
So here, it sounds like Luis wants to see him fight. Luis says, you're the fan, right? You want to see him go again?
Yes, sir.
Luis wants to see him go again. So people in the comments, let us know. But Luis is a horrible judgment of fighter because that wasn't a great fight. Kobe just took him down the whole time, Luis, but it's like I'm going to take your ass down when I see you in Vegas next weekend. Guys, we love and appreciate you guys for the support as always. Until next time, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about my YouTube channel. And I appreciate the support. I will never take you for granted. And I'll see you guys at UFC 307. No, 306 next week from the Sphere. Did you see that? Coffee in my mouth. I almost choked. About went down. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. Make sure you don't miss anything we're doing. Hey, Jorge Masvidal's back. Tell me if you're tapping in. Till next time. Peace.